So I move forward with my podcast. I pay my graphic design person to change up the graphic design, take off Kelly's picture, take off her name, change the time, all the information about my podcast, and I move forward. But I am constantly, I think at this point, like I said, I think we'd blocked each other, which I blocked very few people. But people were sending me stuff. They felt, the people that watched us both had very strong opinions on whether they liked Kelly, whether they thought she was good for the show, whether they liked me, what have you. But they were shocked at what was going down. They were shocked that the stuff that she was posting, her hashtags were just brutal. I have no idea if they're still up. I don't even know what her Instagram name is now. I think eventually, for months later, she made her Instagram private. So then people have to friend request her or whatever it's called. They can't just look at her stuff. But people were sending me screenshots all the time. Sometimes I would make a story about it and be like, why are you, obsessed with me? Basically, she would say I was obsessed with her. And I'm like, I am moving on. I'm not talking about you, whatever. So people would come in my lives and comment like, whatever happened with your co-host? Why is she not on anymore? It was almost constant to have to explain things to people that had missed a little bit. So I moved forward, but people are still sending me just horrific memes and things she would put in Facebook groups, things she would put in Reddit. It was awful. But also, people now chose to pile on with her. They thought, oh, if her co-host hates her, there must be something there. So we're going to pile on against her. I tried to ignore it the best I could, but it's not easy. So I move forward. I'm still going to live events. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing my live podcast, everything. I'm doing things to increase my podcast, which means paying a consultant, Donna, that I had met online. So my account from like summer 2023 to like early fall, so like 2 or 3 months, not long, was really growing big. I now had like almost 25,000 subscribers on YouTube, inching towards 30,000 followers on Instagram as I was leading into BravoCon 2023. I was invited by a friend who won a ticket to that Hollow Teeny event. So I flew out to LA and I did that. So I met Jeff, saw him again, and whispered to him at Schmitty's, the after party. And I said, what is it going to take for me to get invited to your BravoCon pre-party? I mean, I had the balls to say that, right? I'll admit it. And he looked at Shane and he said, he told me, wait, are you going to be at BravoCon? And I said, yeah. And I said, I'll be there that night. He said, Shane, can we get her invited? And I said, and I was like dying. And Shane's like, yeah, I'll message you. And so then I was like, finally, Jeff is giving me a teeny bit of street cred and he's inviting me to a private event as his fan account. So again, I am still friendly with Paige Davis. All this time, she comes in my lives quite often, gets in comments, all the things. We're very friendly, but it's not like we're chatting every day or anything like that. But she invites me to come to her hotel and walk into the party with her and Kristen Takeman and Paige. It was so fun. Okay. So that party went great. Everything was fine. There was nothing going on. Then BravoCon is like the next day, all that. The weekend goes great, all the things. But that's whenever Jeff and Stu were broken up. So it was very awkward because Stu was at BravoCon. There was a lot of stuff said on the radio. It was super awkward. By then, Stu and I were not talking because it was just super awkward that I'm a Jeff Lewis fan account. He and Jeff broke up not very pretty. It was awkward. And he was asking me, please don't talk about me. Stop talking about me. So I was put in this weird situation where I'm like, look, I am a Jeff Lewis fan account. So when he talks about you on the radio, I'm going to talk about that because that's what the fans want to chat about. So I was in a really awkward position. At BravoCon, Patrick messages or texts me and said, hey, come down and get a coffee reading. So I go and do that. Basically, the coffee reading stirred up some drama because anytime I would say lovers or talk about anybody, a troll, anybody being rude about me, it just incited them to be even worse. But I felt like They would say 1,000 things about, well, not 1,000, 10 things about me. And if I ever got riled up and said one thing about it, that would just incite them even more. But at some point, ignoring the lovers did nothing for me. Like they wouldn't stop. They were relentless all this time. Like silence did not shut them up. But they were lying, they were exaggerating. It was awful. And people were believing it. And like, oh, I thought you were this. I thought you were so nice, Sarah. And they're saying this. And I'm like, not even defending myself. So Paul tells me I'm going to be traveling. And I'm like, no, this is my last trip. Well, he was right in my coffee reading. I ended up getting invited to, by Jeff and Shane, the Hollywood House Lives Season 2 premiere party. So I flew out to LA for that. That went great. I got invited by a fan to be a guest at her $10,000 dinner in New York City with Jeff. And also someone reached out to me about doing my own live event in LA called Live from Hollywood, Sarah from Texas, Live from Hollywood, something like that. So all is going well, right? I feel like, my views, my follows, all that, all the traction to kind of slow down, which I was confused about, but whatever. Basically, I finally had not Jeff's blessing, but I felt like I finally had a little bit of, respect of all the hard work and time that I put in. At the $10,000 dinner, which was like 3.5 hours, Jeff across the table says, "You have my phone number, right?" He knew about the live event. Okay. He knew about it. And he was like, I had made sure everything was good with him. So Shane gives me his phone number. And I'm like, oh my God, I finally have Jeff Lewis's phone number. So I had always told Jeff, not that he, cares what my DMs say, but I'd always said, look, at the beginning of this, if I ever say or do anything that you don't like, let me know and I will adjust it. You're not in control of my fan account, but I do want to be respectful. All this time, I've already gotten to know all these other fan accounts, blogs, podcasts. They don't give a shit what other people think they say about them. They do whatever they want to talk about and whatever's going to get them views and followers, right? So there's also a Jeff Lewis live show that I fly out for. I do some like meetups with people. And I always, when I do a meetup like at Sightglass or somewhere, I always would DM Shane or Jameson and say, hey, we're going to be at Sightglass from like 9 to 11. We're going to hang out, listen to the show, whatever. So to let them know, because I was never trying to like bombard Jeff or surprise him with fans. So that was like December 23rd. That was so fun. We made so many memories. So many fans got to meet each other and really become friends. And it was a blast. So all's going well. And behind the scenes, I'm working with this promoter that I'm not even going to go into many details on that because that's just a hot mess. That's a whole hour or hour and a half for my January 20th live event. On January 12th on the Jeff Lewis show, people start telling me, because I was on delay, oh my gosh, I think Jeff is talking about you. Jeff basically goes on the radio. Y'all can listen to it if you haven't already. And maybe on the after show, he mentioned it. Something about a fan, a blogger, a Jeff Lewis account. He was basically talking about me without saying, Jeff Lewis obsessed, and that I had crossed some boundaries. And specifically, I had chatted about his daughter's school and what celebrities go there. Well, I was so confused because I hadn't, but I was also like, Jeff has my phone number. If he has any issues, he could have reached out to me and asked me. Also, everything I did was on video live. I don't edit my podcast. So lovers would have instantly, because by then I had so many hate watchers, still do, and they would have instantly sent that information to Jeff. But he doesn't. Instead, he talks about like, I'm going to hire somebody in IT to figure out, find this video. So I called Jeff thinking there's no way he's talking about me, but I'm pretty much the only Jeff Lewis fan account. So no answer. So I'm like, holy shit. I DM him and Shane, no answer. And I'm like, holy shit. They really believe that I did this.